Welcome to Universal Heritage Television Niger. Today we are giving you our maiden edition of our latest program. I'm sure you've been enjoying all our programs, but today we have a new baby, a new program we are introducing to you, and it's called Daybreak Niger on UHTV Niger. It's a current affairs program where we're going to be analyzing topical issues, and I'm going to be bringing to you very eminently qualified personalities, experts in their various fields, to discuss issues. So that's what we are set to give you this morning. I'm your host, Shettima, and I want to tell you it's going to be an interesting one. In today's program, I have with me three eminently qualified persons that are going to be analyzing issues with me. Firstly, I have Dr. Isaac Anokam. Dr. Isaac Anokam is the Secretary of Imo Political Academic Forum, IPAF. Dr. Isaac Anokam.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. I also have a veteran journalist, celebrated writer, and a respected fellow, in the journalism world. He is the editor-in-chief of the New Oriental newspapers, Ori Martins. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
I also have Mr. Christopher Yu Abonono. Mr. Christian Yu Abonono. Mr. Abonono is the Public Relations Officer of the Imo Political Academic Forum, IPAF. Mr. Abonono, welcome to the program.
You're welcome.
All right. So, gentlemen, yesterday, Nigeria, there was this hysteria, in the air concerning the outing of the NBA, they had a conference in Lagos, Atiku Hotel, if I'm not mistaken.
And that's correct.
The leading presidential candidates were invited to that program. We had Mr. Peter Obi there. We had also Atiku Abubakar. And Bola Tinubu was represented by his running mate, Shettima. And we saw how it all played out. It turned out to be, as some papers actually reported it, presented in a manner that Obi stole the show. Yeah. So let me start with Dr. Anokam. What did you make of that outing yesterday? Did you actually monitor it?
Yes, I did. It is of interest. Obi didn't really mount rostrum to discuss about personalities or experience or grandize, but it was focused on the Nigeria problem and what he intends to do to those problems if given the opportunity to govern this country. So that's what everybody wants to hear. And the people were very much interested. I think what really brought about the hysteria once more is that he went back a little bit to thank the Nigeria Bar Association on their role with regard to his impeachment. Mr. Obi stole the show per se, because he centered his discourse on issues, not on emotional favorites, on experience or tribe or religion or hearsay. But you see, when he really sacked the mental setting of the Nigeria Bar Association members by trying to acknowledge the role they played in his impeachment and how he managed to survive. That all through the role they played in doggedly fighting for his reinstatement, that they didn't give anybody shishi. And the members of the bar didn't collect any money from him. There and then, the dismissing or the insinuation that the bar or the bench usually collect bribe. So they were so much happy, and they give him applause for that.
So he was able to massage their...
Yes, ego. That's correct. That's correct. Okay. He tactfully and technically did that very well.
Mr. Ori, let me have your take, because it does seem that the whole drama started from the mode of entrance of P2B. But it does like, is it that he usually come last now to events to steal the show? Or is it a coincidence, or is it natural? Because he came in while Atiku and Shettima were already seated, and his appearance, erupted into a big ovation.
A rowdy ovation.
The truth is that those who are handling Obi
in all ramifications as far as the 2023 election is concerned, are really doing a very majestic job. Yesterday I give credit to the protocol men. As you said, they told Obi to come last, and that was why you saw that ovation. Every person was seated, every person was there, and by the time he came, it was as if somebody went and told the audience, you should take it up from here. So if you talk in terms of packaging, in terms of issues on at hand, I think Obi has done well by selecting what I may call the best brains so far. You see, even when they try to annoy him in an interview, the packagers will tell him, don't reply, do not attack anybody. Focus on what Nigeria is at a crossroads. Focus on what you are coming to do if you come into play. Don't say Atiku is a Cameroonian. Don't say Tinubu is sick. Don't say Inukwakwanso is not qualified. Just talk about yourself, talk about what you're coming. And that is why many people are listening to me. And then the other side of it is, as he rightly said, Obi is also trying to be a typical Nigerian, so to say, by the credit Doc gave him. I don't see it as a credit. We know that the judiciary is a very technical point of problem in Nigeria. That somebody will go to court, a righteous person who was angered will go to court and lose. And then Obi came there yesterday and started applauding the NBA. That shows you that he's a typical Nigerian. There's a word used to massage their ego. He's just massaging their ego.
So is he preparing himself for his encounter with them? Maybe at
the later long run.
Okay. Mr. Ablon, let me now come to you. Ori Martin said that he tried to corroborate with what I initially suggested. If Obi's entrance, at the last minute or lastly, was deliberately done. But going by the ovation that has trailed him all this while, do you think if he had come earlier, would he have missed that same level of ovation?
Well, Obi, if he had come earlier, would still have carried the crowd the way he did when he came in. Because it's just like a star that was made manifest at his own time. That's not stopping him. What happened in the NBA conference is just a reflection of what happens in the larger society. Anywhere he goes, that's how it comes. And this thing has some divine orchestration. And like I said, he is just a star manifesting at his own time. There's no stopping him. Whether he comes first or last, what he has in him is in him. And what others have in them is in them. He has issues about Nigerian circumstance to discuss. Others have him to discuss. Just akin to what played out in the scripture. If you're a Christian, I know Abdul, you are. If you're a Christian, you know there were three nations that were pitched in a war against Judah: Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir. These three nations were far bigger than Judah. Just like Atiku Abubakar, Bola Tinubu, and Kwakwanso. They appear far bigger than Obi. And what happened? When God's hand is in it, you found Ammon, conniving with Moab to fight Mount Seir. After destroying Mount Seir, they began to fight themselves. The one that remained, that was Ammon. Inside them again, they began to destroy themselves. And that is what is going to play out in come 2023. These men are busy discussing Obi because Obi is their biggest albatross. Obi has come to enter the old system. Just like one of their hired hatchet writers said, Omase, he said, obituary. He has come to do the obituary of the old system and the rebirth of a new Nigeria.
Okay. All right. That biblical I must tell you, I'm a Christian, but I'm not very, I'm not very good at the Old Testament. Let's look at their messages yesterday. Peter Obi kept emphasizing on converting Nigeria from a consumption economy to a production economy. And Atiku did emphasize on the naira value, saying that he wants to first start by abolishing the parallel market for foreign exchange or naira. And then I think people are concentrated more on the message of Peter Obi and Atiku, because Shettima didn't make, people didn't think he made so much brilliant points there, you know. So, but looking at these two issues now, some analysts are saying, which one do we take first? You know, how do you? Atiku says in the interim, medium term, he has to do this to restore sanity, and Obi says he has to, focus on creating a productive economy. You know, which of the two messages here do you think appeals most to the situation, the dire situation we are in Nigeria at the moment?
Yeah, thank you very much. Taking a lead from my background as a teacher, the textbooks are there, the information are there. The students in the classroom have gotten a little bit of the background and idea of a particular subject. So when the lecture amount goes through, there is something they expect to hear. And if they don't hear that, some will be shuffling their legs or lose interest in what the man is saying. Nigerians are tired of promises. Nigerians are tired of politicians and the unfulfilled promises. Their character that is so much unstable. So Obi has a character, and what he is saying, he has done it before. But what he is asking Nigeria to allow him to do is to give him a bigger platform to repeat what he did before. So what really happened? Why Obi ideas or discourse seem to carry the audience is that he told them what they want to hear, and the solution he provided are possible, achievable solutions. They are achievable. They are achievable. They are not myopic. They are not something you cannot achieve. So subsequently, they seem to have agreed to what Obi is saying.
Ori Martins, what's your take on that?
Yeah, the two angles are very, very dear to Nigerians. It's just like somebody is hungry, somebody's rent has expired, and this is August, September is running fast. So you must eat, you must pay a house rent, you must pay the school fees. So whichever one that...
how did you know that my rent has just expired?
No, I'm not talking. So that's what I'm saying. So the manufacturing Obi is talking about is very, very, very dear to Nigerians, because that is what actually makes China, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia what they are today. The people who call the Asian tigers is manufacturing. Keep every person to work. The streets will be free. There will be no touting, there will be no criminality, there will be no crime. That is what Obi is saying. Also, Atiku is trying to tell us that a part of the reason why this touting is going on is that there are so many loopholes in the system. Let me come to block them. By the time we block them, we'll now have money to start building factories, to start encouraging the private sectors to take off. So in that regard, both of them came with very good ideas. Even there was another thing Atiku said that I loved so much. He said that he was going to take more powers,
devolve powers
to the states. That is very, very paramount.
That's restructuring.
Yes, that's it. He didn't want to use the word restructuring because of his people. Imagine if, as we are here now, the eastern Nigeria was still subsisting, which means instead of you coming to Ori, you're going to Enugu. So a lot of us are very scared of going to Abuja. If this oil problem we were talking before we came to the studios, if it was something that the state would tackle, do you think that somebody in Kaduna, somebody in Katsina, somebody in Zamfara will start telling Niger Delta people what to do? You just go to Port Harcourt, you just go to Asaba, you just go to Calabar, confront your state apparatus, and the problems will be solved. The moment something is closer to you, the better it is. In those days, when I was a small boy, my father told me that the threat from Mbise to Emekuku to get baptized. Now in my street, there are more than 11, a street that's not up to a kilometer, there are more than 11 churches there. So even before you wake up in the morning, you see people shouting, repent. Bros are just quoted a version of the Bible now that you are not aware. It makes you to understand more what a topic is all about when it is closer. Yeah. So both Atiku and imagine, as you said, the best thing I had Shettima saying was that he was going to Tinubu was going to replicate Lagos in Nigeria, which we know that is not. I was in Lagos when Tinubu ruled Nigeria. I didn't see anything. The only thing I praised Tinubu doing for was his successor. Tinubu gave legations a very big successor that transformed Lagos. Fashola. So that is the thing. I was very scandalized when Fashola at the national as the minister of works, and the other housing and power. He didn't do anything. I was scandalized. So that is it. Yeah.
So what's your take on that, Chris? Between transforming Nigeria into a producing economy and the midterm program
the two
by Atiku.
The two perspectives are relevant, but one is profound. And in life, counting numbers starts with 1. You count 2, 3. Everything has a sequence. You see, this same promise he's making today, it's like he didn't appreciate the real problem of Nigeria. If he had understood the economic principles and macroeconomic principles, he wouldn't talk about monetary value before the production. That was exactly what Buhari, His Excellency Major General Buhari, our president incumbent, promised us that he was going to put Naira at par. Are you going to use gun to force Naira at par with the international currencies like dollar and euro? Are you going to use gun? It is the interplay of the forces of demand and supply. And what is responsible for the interplay of forces of demand and supply is the macroeconomic indices. Production capacity. How have you arranged your house? Look at Singapore. If you know the history of Singapore, it was a very small nation that even Malaysia was negotiating to buy it. They said, the first prime minister took the bulls by the horn and said, let everybody save 20%. It's a mandatory. Or you go to jail. They started saving. He knew.
That's a equal no.
He knew that from savings, they will have financial background. So what Obi saw was the true picture of Nigeria. Nigeria needs to come away from a consumption to production country. Nigeria had been a consumption economy. We have not been running a productive economy. What do we produce? Even matchsticks are imported. Have you thought about that? Needles. Nigeria can't even produce needles. So how would you force the cost of the materials used to produce matches to be at the way that the value of Naira will be able to afford it at all times? There is no magic about economics. He is an expert. Dr. Anokam knows what I'm talking about. You really have to respect the indices of market play for it to play out. That's why Obi, because he's a manager, human resource manager and a material manager, an astute one. That's why he started from where he knew it's possible to solve the problem. Like a mathematical problem. If they give you a mathematical problem right now, with my little acumen on mathematics, you must first identify the problem. If you don't know the problem, you can't give a solution to that mathematical problem. And that's my take. The Atiku is very far from understanding Nigeria. He still wants to come and do the abracadabra, which they have done to nothingness.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to another issue we have today, which is the ASUU strike. 5 months counting.
6 months.
6 months counting.
Good salary.
ASUU is still on strike. They haven't been able to reach any concrete agreement with the government on how to end the strike. And it does seem that it's now taking dimension of bullying, because it does seem the federal government is now trying to resort to. So they began to moot words like banning ASUU,
radicalism.
Proscribing ASUU and all that, and they want to look at it. Is that the right solution to this problem? If you proscribe ASUU, I mean, have you solved the problem? With the challenges facing education and the higher institution that ASUU is talking about, would they be corrected if you proscribe ASUU?
Thank you very much. Proscription is not the solution to the problem. You see, that is actually the Nigerian leadership factor and their approach to handling issues. They always want to use sledgehammer on a matter you can sit down on the round table and sincerely, with political will, resolve. Nigeria don't seem to follow that approach. Our leadership class, not really all the Nigerians. And I want to draw and say that proscribing ASUU will not solve that problem, because they have proscribed ASUU before. If you remember Atiku Jiga, 1992, with Babangida, came and announced the prescription. They registered another academic body and operated with it. The problem, the challenge we are facing here in Nigeria is that the educational background of our leadership class is questionable. Because why is it questionable? If you understand democracy, and if you understand dialogue, if you understand collective bargaining, and even more so, elementarily how to run a family, why is it that the family failures at all times is blamed on a man? You call your wife and children, sit down and discuss it. Even sometimes you know they are wrong, you say, okay, let's do it. But when they now see the mistake out of what they want to do, they say, Daddy, we should have done as you said. That way, next time when you now want to climb, they will listen to you. Like I was saying, during Jiga's time, with Babangida, Ikomo, and the rest, all through I just read through it last night. There's never a time proscription has solved the problem of strike and ASUU. In fact, it will really worsen it. But taking it back a little bit, what brought about these strikes? It has not been the problem of teachers. We are there in the classroom. I go from time to time. What the barest minimum to help us do
the Minister for Education, Adamu, a few days ago said that the government has been able to meet all the demands of
they meet nothing. They didn't meet nothing. Look at the government will soon go by the end of the year. It's not up to 6 months or 7 months. You are not telling us that you increase the professor's salary by 60,000 and the other one 30,000 in the budget. All of them are promises. And it's a government that is preparing to go. So how is it that those promises will be fulfilled?
Okay. Ori Martins, let me have your view on this.
The problem is that, as the doc has said, Nigerian leaders lack the powers of negotiation, and they don't seem to understand what it means to come to roundtable conference. If you have read Ojuku's, because I am involved, he said one of the biggest challenges we have in Nigeria is that Nigerians have refused to talk, to discuss, to dialogue. Is when I talk with you, I'll be able to know your problem, and you know my problem. But if you just base everything on assumption, nothing works. As long as ASUU is concerned, you see the problem. A structural engineer will go supervise a site, and after 2 days, after 3 days, after a week, the building collapses. Is that person, the engineer, was not adequately lectured in the university? They are on strike now. When school resumes exams, what of when a student who is studying in engineering, for example, has a problem at the DPC level? That section of the curriculum has elapsed, and the teacher didn't go back to let us see what it is. That's part of the problem. Problem number two. Why is it that, you see, I've been having code for more than a week now. I've gone to all manner of hospital. The team pays it. Most of these our doctors, quote and unquote, are not well prepared. But that is why too, as a journalist, when I was in New York, My father used to tell me, read the newspapers, listen to the radios. But I had Nigerian newspapers from my kids, because that is where you learn the terrible grammar. The grammar there is not very correct. And ASUU is saying that we have identified a problem, lack of research. The libraries are empty. We cannot sponsor the teachers to trainings, to seminars, to workshops. Bring money. Let us solve this problem. They put it at 1.something trillion naira, which is not a big deal. ASUU was not saying give us this money in bulk. Atiku was saying, what I think ASUU was saying, if the federal government had called ASUU leadership to a roundtable discussion and said, okay, out of this 1 trillion, every month take 1 billion. Every month, take 2 billion, 3 billion. If multiply it by 2, multiply it by 24, the money is paid. But they said it's too much. As he rightly said, how much does a senator goes home with at the end of the month for doing nothing, for sleeping? Look at the red chamber. It's empty. They don't discuss anything. That was why the National Assembly members signed themselves off from the Electoral Act. They didn't know when they said we are not going to be part of the election process, because they were, you understand, before they knew it, they were shouting, and Buhari said no, it's going to start. So what I'm saying is that the government should please call ASUU back to a roundtable discussion and agree totally with whatever ASUU is said, because a poorly trained country with poorly produced poorly leaders. That is just the truth.
Okay, Chris, on this issue.
In fact, the last two speakers have spoken very well. It's as though they've entered my mind. The truth is that Nigeria has this idiosyncrasy of using the wrong set of people, misplacement of priority. My doctor here said, people at the leadership level don't have that capacity. They lack the capacity. And also, the last speaker talked about negotiation. There is nothing that is not negotiable in life except the 10 Commandments. Everything that has a start must be negotiated. Okay, the federal government has proven to the whole world that they don't have good negotiators. This thing has lingered for a long time. Yes. Traced from the time of Babangida, you say that?
Yes.
Till today.
1992.
They've not been able to reconcile it because federal government does not have good negotiators. Good negotiators have they forwarded? Adamu. We all know his background. Festus Keyamo, you know him.
Yes.
Festus Keyamo is trying to tell the whole world that the ASUU, they are asking for too much. They are asking that the stakeholders were not involved in taking decision. And ASUU brought forward 1.3 trillion. And when the realities on ground come, they now see that with the fiscal year of 2023, federal government will be looking at 6 trillion. So 1.3 trillion out of it is a big chunk for only one sector. That was the mathematics he did. And that's all. He didn't touch other indices like my brother Otis has just said. National Assembly, how much? Nigeria is running the most prohibitive presidential system in the world. It is a parody of American brand of presidential democracy. Wrongly copied. And very prohibitive. The take home of all members of the lower green chambers is highly ear-tingling. That of the senators is humongous. No wonder the attraction there. Everybody wants to be there. Even after becoming governor of a state, managing the resources of all the states, you still want to get back to Senate. So we keep on recycling old wood. And that's, by the way, now we are talking about education, an important sector, a sector that is as important as the development of human beings. There is no economy that can develop without human beings. If Nigeria can't get the education system right, we are not moving anywhere. So whether they are talking about the implication of the bills that was brought forward by the SPIF-led committee or what else, that's not the issue. The issue is this. Why has federal government not been able to fulfill each time, over and over again, their own part of the agreement? And I'm using this opportunity to call upon the ASUU never to renege. The same shop, these senators go with 30 million a week It's the same shop you expect somebody that receive a patri of 300 and 250,000 a month to go. The same school. Look at the schools we are having in Nigeria, private schools, talking about 5 million tuition. Government University, all those big schools. Yet even these ones that are talking about not releasing 1.3 trillion for ASUU to solve the problem once and for all, their awards are being celebrated graduating overseas. And it doesn't perturb them at all. So it's really worrisome.
And so I wanted to add to what Chris have said. Can you also believe that these same politicians, after downplaying the ASUU request and all that, will from time to time come back to class for the same lecturers to teach them? And we are looking at them and we are teaching. We are marking their scripts. Even when they don't do well, they beg to be assisted. But see them, the issue of your teacher, you can't even go to the house or come to a place where they debate and say, please, sir, help these teachers, they're doing a good job. Who among them who among them that didn't go through the teacher?
But Doc, the manners to ASUU, especially the professors and the doctors there, is that you are the people that produce these illiterates.
No,
Wait. By going to help them to rig elections.
No, that one is another topic for another day.
There's something Mr. Chris said.
Yes.
He said that quality education. You understand?
Yes.
So the people who gives these people power to be in the government. That's a word you use. I want to capture very well.
Yes.
Is that by the time you people, ASUU, the professors, the doctors, manufacture, collect money from these people to
half-baked.
That's the word, you know. That's why we're having this problem. It's a blame of ASUU.
No, it's not a blame. It's not a blame. They have baking. They have
almost all the elections in Nigeria are declared by professors.
I am coming.
Some academies are facing prosecution.
Good.
I am coming.
That's a part of the problem. So you have to take it. It's true.
There are two issues you've raised I want to handle. The issue of half-baked has to do with lack of materials and the encouragement to work.
Because the people pronounced as winners are not supposed to win.
No, wait. Now that one is another one. Let me clear the issue of half-baked. The half-baked issue Chris was referring to. Chris is also in the class.
I know.
It's because there is not much tools to work with. If you don't give us much tool to work, then what are we rolling out?
Who's supposed to give you the tool?
That is the government.
That's the class. That's what
I am coming. I am coming. Now, the issue of
gentlemen, we are going to leave this issue because on a special day, we're going to have a special program when we discuss the role of the academia
and election. That one is a different thing.
The government we have.
We are ready.
Topic for another day.
There's a saying that says that the people deserve the government.
Exactly.
Yes. So how we make it, we enjoy it. Now, because time is not on our side, so we'll just take one other topic and then we'll wrap it up. Fani Kayode is a personality that has. People mirror him from different angles, depending on the angle you're mirroring him from. But mostly we'll see him as a very unsteady person, going by his latest actions. He's been in the PDP, and when APC was being formed, he was part of the founding members of APC. And then all of a sudden he left the APC, went back to the PDP, and described the APC with all manner of languages, describing them as evil, and all that. And then all of a sudden, when he was in PDP, he gave all those descriptions to APC. And then it does seem that at a point, he was, went back to the APC. I suspect Governor Yaya Bello at that time was able to midwife that, and he went back to the APC. And this time I've been telling everybody that the devil has been cast out of PDP, has been cast out of the APC. The devil now resides in the PDP, according to him and all that. But just yesterday again, he came up with another explosive statement when he said obedience are everywhere. They have ideas, vision. I'm talking about the presidential spokesman of the APC. He's one of their presidential spokesmen. And he now talking about the obedient movement, which is a movement that is associated with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. And according to the Vanguard, the way they reported what he said a former Minister of Aviation, Chief Femi Fani-Kayode has confessed that the supporters of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, are everywhere. He stated that the obedience have ideas and vision, while cautioning the big political parties, PDP and APC. Fani-Kayode advised them to play their cards very well. In his article titled, "Who Are These Obedients?" Fani-Kayode instructed his party members to humble themselves and embrace obedience with a view to solving their respective problems. Recall that many political parties have asked Obi's political structure. Some have said that Obi has presence only on social media, but countering their hypothetical submission, Fani-Kayode averred that I see them amongst my staff and amongst those that regard themselves as being amongst the oppressed and downtrodden. I see them among the professionals and those that are bankers, lawyers, doctors, and artists. I see them in the north, west, east, and south. I see them everywhere and not only on social media. He went further to say, I see them as being a very powerful and potent rising force, which, if properly managed, will develop into a major political power over the next few years with a strong ideological and electoral foundation and massive structures. He goes on to say that is the potential that they have, and that is how dangerous they can be. The sooner those of us that are in larger political parties get off our high horses, display a little humility, try and understand their mindset, reach out to them, take them more seriously, appreciate their anger, restore their hope, make the necessary concessions, and try and abate their rage and rising angst, the better it will be for us. They may not have today, but if we do not play our cards right, they may end up having tomorrow. That's what Femi Fani-Kayode said, and people are reacting. Some think he's begun to tilt towards the obedient movement. If he's given this manner of description, to the obedient movement, but he ended up saying they don't own today, they may own tomorrow. So, let me start with Ori Martins.
Okay, I was almost going to explode.
We have left the academic now. So we have left the academic, so let's go to the journalists.
You see, there is something any person who have been following Fani-Kayode should tell you. He has history. He has a rich historical background, and when he says anything, no matter how you like him or hate him, you must appreciate his facts. Number one is he has made it clear that obedience are everywhere, which is very, very true. He said that they have ideas, which means he has agreed that is something P2B is coming to offer. And we have agreed too that the problem of Nigeria is the top. That if the top is taken care of, it's going to trickle down. So all the good adjectives he mentioned, but he was very careful not to talk of P2B. He was very, very careful. He just used the word obedience. But we all know that he is referring to P2B. The truth is that if you read the history of revolutions the world over, whether it was in to power, whether it was the one even in US that made US what it is today, it was just a tax.
Yeah,
it was just a tax, and the people refused.
Yeah.
So
the Tea Party, the Boston,
the Tea Party issue, whether it is even the one that was roughly done in Nigeria on January 15, 1960s, just a little discussion, a match that will spark off everything. The truth is that Obi and the Labour Party has become an issue in Nigeria that people cannot just discard, like that. Before here now, I've always told you that if Obi becomes the president of Nigeria, the 4 years or 8 years he's going to stay will transform Nigeria drastically. My problem has been, I've been to the north, I was in the west for 5 years, I was in the north for 5 years, I was in Port Harcourt for many years before came to it. My problem is, look at just 2 days ago, INEC said the elections are not going to be counted electronically again. But because of the way Nigerians reacted, evening time, they said we are going to revert to electronic transmission of elections. You see? So I have always believed that Nigerians can torpedo any system. That is what I have always told Atiku. Nigerians can torpedo any systems. We are relying on the fact that the elections are going to be transmitted electronically. That was why in the show election, just before the elections, before the results were collected, everybody said, Tinubu ran away. But if it was done manually, they would tell you to go to collection center. There they will write. But now, if INEC had not sent that thing 2 days ago, will you think that some Nigerians are thinking how to not allow electronic system to be? Is simple and short. The status quo is what I've always said that is standing between Obi and in the success, not whether it's going to perform.
The subject matters, Femi Fani-Kayode, FFK, as it was roundly known, is quite an interesting and a curious one. The man himself is a curious political character, an interesting political character. You have acknowledged that even in your submissions. He is very, doesn't surprise anybody like me with his somewhat sarcastic outbursts sometimes, because he has this way of romancing the audience with his language. But innately, he is not reliable. We all know that. He has said good things that all ears will be glad to hear. But within him, he is not reliable. He's just saying that thing to pave way for the next turn, when the whole obedience have swept the whole street. Because as far as I'm concerned,
maybe he's reading the handwriting on the wall.
On the wall,
so he's preparing himself.
Sooner or later, the day is coming. Tyrant men shall be overthrown, and all the fruitful fields of England shall be trodden by obedience alone. Let me use Nigeria. All the fruitful fields of Nigeria shall be trodden by obedience alone. He's apprehensive, and it's downing on almost all of them. It's not just him. Only he's an extrovert. He's not an introvert. Some introverts are having this thing boiling in them. They can't voice it out. What is going on? The hurricane obedient is sweeping, going gale every time. Day in, day out, is going more gale, and is making people that are in a position, have found themselves in a position, jittery, because they know they are the negative end of the pole. These are the people that want Nigeria to be retrogressing into the abysmal quagmire. But those that are convinced that there's a light at the end of the tunnel are the people that support the visions of Obi, and they are the obedience. So if Femi Fani-Kayode will make those submissions, does not make him a wonderful, a credible analyst. He said the truth. When the truth is spoken anywhere, if you have a spark of truth in you, it will ignite. Once even a devil speaks truth, he that has a spark of truth in him will ignite. This has to do with somebody's disposition at a particular time. At this moment, he's hard pressed to be disposed to telling the truth, and this is the truth. This is exactly, his analysis is the truth.
Okay. So, Dr. Anokam, Femi Fani-Kayode.
Yes.
What's that take?
Yes, I agree to what my two colleagues have said on the analysis. You see, Fani-Kayode with his analysis is a little bit sarcastic, as Chris have said. With Fani, I read him all the time. I follow some of his comments. It's what I will call stomach infrastructure. And that is the problem of Nigerian politicians. I was talking about stomach infrastructure. My wife picked an article I wrote. Mentioned something in Igbo. I said, Professor, stomach infrastructure, is he not Nyatumanka? I laughed. I said, you are correct. Somebody will see what is right. You will not say it, stick to it, but you are looking for what to gain in order to continue to survive. Fani is just planning or strategizing a way of escape. If, yes, that tomorrow the table will turn and he will bring this his right up and said, didn't you hear what I said? Now, he also, there is a certain statement he made. He said, I am APC, I support Tinubu, I don't owe anybody an apology. But this is the realities on the ground. Analyzing that, what he said, if the surest index of a character is the voice, and if this, I see that is the trouble. He's saying something else, but his mind is somewhere. If you read what he said and bring the ballot box, you will say that this person will vote Obi. Yeah. But the trouble now is that he has told you where he's going to. So why now this analysis? It's an escape route. But everything he said is true. And you will discover that he wasn't really hinging that on Obi. He was hinging it on the revolution that is sweeping everybody. But one striking point, most of these people, why all of them are attacking Obi and obedient, is that the emergence of Obi will retire all these old men and women.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Because of time, we'll have to come to the end of the program now. I want to thank you for your wonderful views on the issues we have discussed this morning. I want to start by thanking Dr. Isaac Anokam, who is the Secretary of Imo Political Academic Forum, IPAF. Thank you, Mr. Ori Martins, the Editor-in-Chief of the New Oriental newspaper. Thank you very much. All right. And Mr. Chris Abalon, the PRO of IPAF. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, dear viewer, this is where we've come to the end of the program today, the Daybreak Niger on Universal Heritage Television Niger. And like I told you, today is the debut of this program. We'll continue tomorrow, and we're going to be having more guests analyze issues with us here. And we want to urge you to go to our Facebook page, like our Facebook page, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, because the more you subscribe, the more you help us to grow, in this business, and the more we can also bring to you updates of our programs. We also have our Instagram and Twitter handles. You can also subscribe to them and follow us. All right, I am your host, Obidima Ako, and I'll be signing off here to come back tomorrow for another edition of the program. Until I come that time, I want to say bye-bye.